We are live. Yes. I love the option of going live without going on camera. I'm just gonna say it. It's been a little bit since I have done a podcast and I miss it. I miss doing what I love, doing what I want, going against the flow, going against the grain, doing the things that I love my way, not anybody else's way. Like, those are great suggestions. And also, every time I have implemented other people's suggestions, I end up losing myself. I end up fragmenting myself into 1,000 different parts and 1,000 different pieces. And I just can't do it anymore. I just can't keep going in the direction I have been for almost my whole life. And then adding in, 15 years of trying to build a business. It's when I got into the network marketing land where I ended up getting into a place that mirrored every place that I grew up in foster care and jobs, but business ventures. I didn't know and I didn't realize that. Now, I'm about to share something that will open up eyeballs today and even ears. Now, what I'm not here to do is talk people out of, I'm pouring some water, is talk people out of what they're doing. But what I am here to do is bring a different way of doing something and look at something differently. Because have you ever noticed, like, how you're doing things, how you're operating? And then did you ever realize how you may have lost yourself in the process, but you don't realize you've lost yourself in the process until somebody turns a light on and says, "Hey, I think you've been going the wrong way. Let me show you a different path. I'm going to tell you how I have forged a different path. And then I'm going to show you how you can forge your own in the process." So I have been sharing my story for quite a long time now, quite a while here on my amazing podcast. And, it is the foundation of my journey. It is the foundation of how I've started my life, because that is how I started my life in foster care, from before I was one up until after I graduated high school. And, one of the things that they don't teach foster kids is that you don't have to perform for safety. You don't have to prove your worth. One of the things that I did not learn is how not to be treated like a clearance item, an item put on a clearance rack. It's as if I was on display my entire life. Look a certain way, sound a certain way, and then you throw in the mix of being biracial, which I didn't even know I was biracial till after I was 13. And even then, I'm still learning who the heck I am. And sometimes I still don't know. I mean, I know, but there are other times where it's like, Tiffany, I don't think you realize the value. And I didn't realize the value that I bring. And I have been attempting to fit myself and morph myself and stuff myself into several boxes that people have handed me, and different costume changes and masks that says things like, do it this way, that way's wrong, your way's wrong. Don't do it that way, either or. Either you're serious or you're not. Either you're building a business or you just have a hobby, and that's bad. Either you're building someone else's dream and you're working a 9 to 5, or you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business. And if you have a job, you suck. If you don't have a job and you're building a business, that's good. Or here, your way isn't going to be profitable, but put this on because my way is going to teach you to be profitable. And so I found myself circling the mountain again and again and again. And one thing keeps coming back. The one place that I haven't had to prove my worth, perform, is my voice, is this podcast. Is when people have hired me, what I have created is for my clients, I create a space like in Telegram or in Marco Polo. But I was using Marco Polo because I was mirroring what a previous mentor has done in her coaching container. So I thought, great, let me try this. But Zoom calls were great for my clients, but it's the space that they got the most transformation was in the voice-led space. I've been in other voice-led spaces, which I have paid to be in. I've also been in spaces where I haven't had to pay to be in, but I show up anyway because the energy is potent and I value the person's vision. Plus they're, working hard to build a vision. So I go where the energy is. I don't go where the energy is stagnant and it's dry and cactus land and people aren't showing up. It's like, I could be part of the group, but if you as a leader aren't showing up and you're in burnout and you've got this group, you've got to show up, man. Like, and then it's like, I see that. And then it's like, let me be your hype girl. I'm going to be your professional hype girl. You're going to hire me and I'm going to bring life back to you. I'm going to be the voice that you listen to that will keep you going, will keep you encouraged. It's also where your performance will be a thing of the past because you won't be performing to show up. But then I thought, okay, my giftings, my value that I bring isn't just strictly for one area or one box. And yes, I am a professional hype girl. And also what I have figured out is that I'm leading a freaking movement. There are people, amazing folks that have been listening to my podcast, and I had no idea that they've been listening and implementing what I'm talking about behind the scenes until until I've received testimonials. And I'm like, "What? You mean to tell me that you've been listening to my podcast?" And I haven't heard how long people have been listening to my podcast, but you mean to tell me that you became a head chef and you've been working on that for 10 years and now you're a head chef and you've been implementing what I've been teaching? Like, dude, bro, like you need to celebrate that because you did that, right? Thank you. Thank you. I feel honored. Thank you. And also you did that. That is a true testimonial by Isaiah Shaw. And I've got a few others that I have received, and I would love it if you could send me a testimonial as well. I'm not sure where you can leave those, but I'll figure it out. I could also put my email in the show notes as well so that you can send me testimonial. You can tell me that you want to be kept anonymous and that I have your permission to share it. And, anything helps. Like, there's no wrong answer. There's nothing too small, nothing too large, nothing too in between. It's all a testimonial is a testimonial. Its celebration is a celebration. It matters. Every little bit matters. So lately, though, I have been having a disconnect with what I have been doing, and I couldn't figure out what it is, why I have this disconnect. And I'm like, why is what I've been trying to do for the last 15 years, why is none of it working anymore? Why don't I feel determined to use this strategy again? Why don't I want to use that strategy? Why is whatever that person is telling me, why is it not working the way they're telling me it's going to work? But what's working is my podcast. What's working is my voice? Well, that's interesting. Okay, so if I continue to do it their way, right? Just like a job teaches you corporate, right? Corporate, right? If I continue to try to do it their way and I keep losing myself, I keep I keep losing who I am, I keep forfeiting my value system, my way, the way that I want to do things, what I want, my dreams, my vision. So if I do what's working for other people, how does that benefit me? Yeah, right? So did you ask yourself the question? Okay, so if I do what works for, say, me, Tiffany, how is that going to work for me? Well, I'll tell you how that's going to work for you because you're going to listen to something that's going to spark something in you. It could even bring healing. And you're going to take that and you're going to do some research for yourself. You could even hire a therapist, which I recommend if you know you need one. What I have been creating is not a therapy station. It's not I'm not a crisis center. I'm not a complaint venting. Woe is me. I'm a victim center. Oh, no, no, no. This isn't for you if you think that way. But what works for you is what you implement and see the results and how they work for yourself, right? So you stop performing, you stop stripping yourself away into several different, fragmented parts of yourself to please and perform. And you start doing the work. That's how you're going to find what's going to work for you. What works for me the same way might not work for you in the same exact manner, but what's the result and what's the celebration? What's the lesson? What are you finding that's working for you? Great. Stick with that. But you want to know what happens when we keep performing and we keep doing what others keep telling us to do without even checking in with ourselves? Is that what I want? What do I want? Write that down. What do I want? You have to answer that. You get to answer that, not me. Until I started answering that question, I kept doing what everybody else was telling me to do. And you want to know part of that reason is because in foster care, I was taught that I didn't get a say, that what I wanted wasn't good enough. It wasn't, I didn't deserve what I wanted. I didn't deserve happiness or peace. I didn't deserve safety. I didn't deserve what I wanted. I didn't deserve to be a ballerina or a lawyer or a speaker. I didn't deserve the money that I was given for my allowance. And this is the crap I was fed. You should be grateful that you have a home. Okay. You should be grateful and fill in the blank. It's like, okay, so talk about manipulation and coercion. Mm. One of the things that I remember praying and asking God for was to use my voice, to be able to share my story, bring transformation, use humor, and people walk away transformed. I would say that's a beautiful want. But over the years, people have been handing me boxes saying, here, it sounds like it's a membership. Do the membership. Create a membership. So I tried it. That just it didn't work well for me. Okay. So you're a coach. Do coaching. Okay. Got the coaching. I've got the clients. I have the testimonials. I've got the receipts. Everyone got results. Great. Okay. Do resumes. I mean, that was me at first. So I did resume coaching at first. I rewrote people's resumes and then I coached them on how to pass a job interview. I actually have a program that I created, but here's the thing. I created the program. I pioneered, re-engineered a program that I heard, that taught people how to get jobs. Several things that's missing from the program that I re-engineered and re-pioneered myself is boundaries. How to spot red flags in an interview. That was missing. How not to bring yourself out for a paycheck. How to reclaim yourself so that you can keep going and show up as your best self and not some watered down version just to play the part at a job that you probably hate. No, thank you. And sitting in an interview, oh, you mean I get to interview the interviewer, not just ask about the insurance and the benefits? Oh, you mean to tell me that a job interview is really just me interviewing the company to see if I want to work there and not the other way around? Oh, okay. So, so it puts the person back in the driver's seat to reclaim themselves before, during, and after. Before the job process, during the job process, and after the job process, because that's where people lose themselves. Perform. I've heard words that kept me in a proving pattern: under promise and over deliver. I've stopped telling people to do that. But of course, in corporate, we're taught to do that. Well, under promise, but over deliver your face off. Over deliver till you collapse, right? And heaven forbid that something happened where our health needs to get back to par, but to be an adult, you get punished for it. Yeah. How does that work? I don't know. So I, have been performing and proving and wearing the masks. I've done it all. Put on the costumes. I've I've done it all. And you know what? I just can't do it anymore. And if I strip away, if it's like an onion, right? I think of like have you seen the movie or watched or read the book Thumbelina? It's like this little, I think it was like this little ballerina thing. I don't remember what that she was inside this like flower, right? And I picture myself as Thumbelina. I am the beautiful masterpiece that's inside the flower that has been stripped, left to nothing. I'm not nothing, but what's left is me. And also, lately, like throughout my whole life, what was left is the part of me that's like, hey, we're not doing that anymore. I'm left with nothing but myself. I'm left with nothing but me. Who am I? What do I want? What do you want, Tiffany? What do we want? This is how I sometimes talk to myself, right? What do you want? I couldn't even answer that question 3 years ago. I had a mentor in my life who I am still part of in his world, and he asked me those, what do you want? 4 words. I remember internally feeling angry at him, but not because he's mean or rude. He's not rude. He's amazing. He's got this vision. Imagine waking up every day, listening to your vision, becoming, stepping into who you were designed to be, the way that you want, how you want it. It's your vision. God gave us all a vision. You want to know the vision that was handed to me as a foster kid? A lifeless, breathless thing that was left as a trash pile, who was discarded, who wasn't good enough on the clearance rack for the nice, classy stores. Oh no, put you on the Goodwill rack, the free rack. But yet people will pick you up and view you to see if you are worthy enough. It was put on display. I don't know if I was trafficked, because when I think of trafficking, I think of like the trafficking for sex, but there's other forms of trafficking. I know I was exploited for money. The more foster homes you get put in, the more money that comes in, and the more trouble, and so I was labeled a ton of things that I wasn't. But what do they expect from a kid who was born to alcoholic parents who chose alcohol, couldn't get their shit together, for the first 10 years of my life placed in an abusive home with a bunch of religious abuse? When I say religious abuse, I'm not talking about just quoting scripture. No, talking about the styles of discipline, abusive. I'm talking about um just not being like, you know, so no, was I treated like I was wanted? No, I was not. My whole life I had to prove I was worthy. But here's what I know. I know that I'm worthy. I don't need to prove anymore that I'm worthy because there's a God above in heaven that says I'm worthy. But it also took me a long time because people misrepresented God. They totally misrepresented God to me. I learned who he wasn't at a very young age. I've had to relearn who he is for myself without other people's interpretations or showing their actions. Well, if that's who you say God is, then if I have to live as a scared person who's going to get abused from a God who's not abusive, what's the truth? So I've had to find the truth, and thank God. You know, thank God. He's not abusive. He's not mean. He's not mad at he's not mad at me. Mm. And sometimes we spend our life running from a God that has been presented to us that is farthest from the truth of who he really truly is. And so yeah, proving my worth, expert, right? Proving, performing, putting on masks and costumes, total expert. I look back at all of the coaching containers and spaces I have been in, people I have hired, and you want to know something? It was me that put myself in spaces that caused me to morph into who I didn't want to be and who I didn't want to become. Also caused me to morph into doing something that I just didn't want to do. At the end of the day, all I want to do is create a movement, which is exactly what I'm doing. All I want to do is create a space where people come to listen to me that's podcast style, that is like me doing a podcast, and people pay to be there. And yes, as the professional hype girl, people aren't there to get fixed. They're not there to do what doesn't work for them. No, it's a movement that I have been creating, and I have avoided creating this movement because I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I had permission to do what I wanted. Because every time I would bring up doing something that I wanted to do, I would get seemingly talked out of it. I would. In some way, shape, or form, I would get talked out of what I wanted, and I would conform to do what I was told, or the messaging. Okay, well, then this is what you're doing. And it's like, no, it's not what I want to do. Okay, then it's called this, do this, put this together. It's like, I don't want to do that. So finally, since October 1st of last year, I started building my podcast. And within 6 months, it grew to over 1,000 downloads, new listeners, and it's still in the over 1,000. I don't even know the exact number to today. And then I started paying attention to the stats. I was like, you know what? I want to leverage my podcast for a business. So see, I started talking about what I wanted, but I got talked out of that by people who I hired. They were telling me to do things I didn't want to do. And it's like, I've done that. It just doesn't feel good to have to do that again. I would rather find something that I said, I would rather hand to you what I want to do, and then you help me pick from that. I'm not giving you the end all be all, deciding for me. No, I want you to help me get the hell yeah. That sounds great. That's what I'll do. Not hand me stuff that you think I should be doing. Because in all honesty, I've done that and it didn't feel good. It just didn't feel good. So you're probably going, well, Tiffany, what on earth have you created? So I've been doing this series now for over a year called From Foster Care to the Palace. And when I started it, I didn't even realize that that is a movement that I am creating until within the last few days. I was like, you mean to tell me that I have been creating this, say, movement from behind the scenes and I didn't even realize it was a movement? Or you mean to tell me that I've been creating this podcast? People are listening, people are flocking, people are coming. And you mean to tell me that I can have a podcast style business where I can create a, say, hub in Telegram? People pay to come. They pay per month. They can pay for like a year and they stay. And you mean to tell me that I could also be the professional hype girl, but also use my voice primarily? I don't need to do Zoom like everybody else is. I don't need to model my business after what other people are doing. Are there things that I have created like boundary scripts, PDFs, supplement list? Yes, I'll be passing that along, right? Because it's not a membership that's it's just no. What I created is a movement, and I'm going to read it to you. So it's called From Foster Care to the Palace. It is a movement for high performers who are ready to stop performing for approval and start living in alignment with who they truly are. Through powerful conversations, encouragement, community, and real life transformation, we help people turn performance into freedom, reclaim their voice, strengthen their boundaries, trust themselves again, and create a life they no longer need permission to pursue. In that, I also get to be the professional hype girl that I have always been because that's my jam, that's my go to. It's also a place where people will be able to celebrate their wins, no matter how big or small. And people that are in there, their lives will change. And I can see people coming. I can see people staying. And I've been doing, I was told, you want to know what I was told? Podcasts are not something people are going to, buy something from. A lot of people don't listen to podcasts because they don't want to they don't want to be sold something. Well, think of that as an ad. I just shared with you an ad. Okay. And so what you get inside of there, it's turning performance into freedom. It's greater confidence and self-trust, stronger boundaries without guilt. It's freedom from approval seeking and overperforming, increased clarity, purpose, and direction, the courage to pursue bigger dreams, living from worthiness instead of proving. You also get more peace, energy, and personal freedom. Now, here's the deal. I'm doing this as a group, because the the main thing is, people can, hire me as that professional hype girl by themselves, right? I find in a group we just go farther, we go faster. And so that's what I'm creating behind the scenes. I've already got the images from ChatGPT. I'm doing what I know to do. And it feels good to do things my way for once. And it's time to stop performing for other people because it's not working anymore. There comes a point in our lives when things just don't work the same way that they used to. And so, as soon as I launch this thing, don't you worry, I will be on here to tell you. And I'm here to do things differently no matter what. I'm here to speak differently, show up differently. I believe this is why people keep flocking to my podcast, because I don't hear anybody else sharing their stories on a regular basis about the foundation of how I got to here. By the way, from foster care to the palace is a movement because the foundation, it's where I started from. It's the foundation on how I got to here. I didn't just start helping high performers out of a thought of thin air. No, it's a lived experience. So you will be stepping into that experience. But what it's not is a place for people who want to play victim. It's not a place where people want to be told what to do. Will you get hot seat coaching? Absolutely. You know, I could tell you all the things that's included, which is fine. It's going to be in the copy. Hype Girl Power Hours, right? Where I drop a, what's it called? Encouragement. It's kind of like a coaching call, but I'm going to drop it at any given time that I have the energy. But it's a space for high performers because let's face it, we need stuff on the go. Okay. so, so there you go. It's going to be an on the go podcast style environment. And it's what I'm pioneering. And you want to know something else? For everyone who has said to you what you want doesn't work, I'm here to tell you, if that very thing you've been wanting to do keeps coming up, talk to God about it and say, hey, this keeps coming up. Why is this keep? Chances are it's because you're supposed to get it out to the masses, supposed to invite people in. It's one thing to sit there and think about it. It's another thing to sit there and let it go. All because we're afraid of what other people will say. If I kept listening to people say about the podcast thing, I wouldn't continue to do my podcast. But it's the very thing I've been entrusted with. And that's my voice. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for being here. And by the way, I'm going to put my email in the show notes, and I would love it if you can comment even on my podcast. I know different podcast platforms that I'm on, Spotify, Apple. I would love it if you could also drop a review on Apple as well. I've got my first 5-star one on there, so I'm excited. And, I would love to see how my show, like what you have started implementing. I would love to come alongside it with you and celebrate with you. Thank you for taking the time for you to listen to this today, to fill up your cup. Yes. So that you walk away more confident and empowered. And yeah, that concludes this episode.